Why don't politicians just print more money to solve the country's debt problems? If printing money is an option, why doesn't the government print more to fund public services or infrastructure projects? What happens to the economy if politicians print too much money to stimulate growth? Why can't politicians just print more money and distribute it equally to citizens? These questions could lead to a deeper discussion about the economics behind money printing and inflation. With this video, you're going to understand why it happens. Imagine you're at a pizza party with 10 friends, and there's only one pizza. Now, you have 10 slices of pizza to share, and everyone gets one. But then, the party host, who's also the money printer, decides to hand out 10 more pizzas. But wait, they don't make any more toppings. So, now there are 20 pizzas, but still only 10 toppings. Everyone gets super excited because they think more pizzas means more toppings, right? But guess what? Since there's no more actual pizza topping to go around, everyone just ends up piling on the same amount of toppings to their slice. The pizzas start looking ridiculous, and the toppings, once worth a nice sprinkle, now seem like a little dusting on a mountain of dough. So, in the end, everyone's got more pizza, but the value of the toppings has gone way down. That's inflation. More money, or pizza, is floating around, but the value of it is diluted because there's nothing more to back it up. In the economy, that's what happens when they print more dollars but don't make more goods to buy with them. More money, less value. And in the end, you're just left with a lot of dough, but no real substance. Printing more money can lead to inflation because it increases the total supply of money in an economy without a corresponding increase in the supply of goods and services. Here's a breakdown of why this happens. 1. Basic economics. Supply and demand. The value of money is largely determined by supply and demand. When more money is printed but the amount of goods and services in the economy remains the same, there's more money chasing the same amount of goods. Inflation happens because with more money in circulation, people are willing to spend more for the same goods and services, driving up prices. 2. Too much money in the economy. If people have more money, they generally have more purchasing power. As people start spending more, demand for goods and services increases. If the supply of goods and services doesn't increase at the same pace, businesses may raise their prices to balance demand and supply. This increase in prices is inflation. The more money there is, the higher prices rise because demand exceeds the available supply. 3. Expectations and confidence. When people know that the government is printing more money, they may expect prices to rise in the future. This anticipation can prompt people to spend more now rather than later, which increases demand and fuels inflation. As businesses also anticipate higher costs and higher demand, they may preemptively raise their prices, which contributes to inflation. 4. The role of central banks. Central banks like the Federal Reserve have the ability to increase the money supply, often through processes like quantitative easing or lowering interest rates. This is sometimes done to stimulate an economy, especially in times of recession. However, if the central bank increases the money supply too much without balancing it with economic growth, it can result in inflation. This is because the amount of money in circulation grows faster than the production of goods and services, leading to higher prices. 5. Hyperinflation example. Hyperinflation occurs when a country's central bank prints an excessive amount of money, often in response to crises like war, political instability, or debt. In extreme cases, this can lead to a rapid and uncontrollable rise in prices, rendering the currency almost worthless. Example. In Zimbabwe in the late 2000s, the government printed massive amounts of money to fund spending, leading to hyperinflation. At its peak, Zimbabwe experienced inflation rates of 89.7 sextillion% per month. That's 89.7 followed by 20 zeros. 6. The inflationary spiral. If inflation becomes widespread, it can create a feedback loop. As prices rise, workers demand higher wages to keep up with the cost of living. In turn, businesses may raise prices further to cover the increased wage costs. This cycle can spiral, leading to sustained inflation or even hyperinflation. 7. The velocity of money. Inflation can also be influenced by how quickly money circulates in the economy, known as the velocity of money. If the velocity increases, i.e., people are spending money more rapidly, it can amplify the inflationary effect, even with a smaller increase in the money supply.